the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Amen.
I'll be reading from 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, verse 35 through 58. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body will they come? How foolish. What you sow does not come to life unless it dies. When you sow, you do not plant the body that will be, but just a seed, perhaps of wheat or something else. But God gives it a body as he has determined, and to each kind of seed he gives its own body. Not all flesh is the same. People have one kind of flesh, animals have another, birds another, and fish another. There are also heavenly bodies, and there are earthly bodies. But the splendor of the heavenly bodies is one kind, and the splendor of the earthly bodies is another. The sun has one kind of splendor, the moon another, and the stars another. And stars differ from star in splendor. So will it be with the resurrection of the dead. The body that is sown perishable, it is raised imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. So it is written, the first man Adam became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit. The spiritual did not come first, but the natural, and after that, the spiritual. The first man was of the dust of the earth. The second man is of heaven. As was the earthly man, so are those who are of the earth. And as is the heavenly man, so also are those who are of heaven. And just as we have borne the image of the earthly man, so shall we bear the image of the heavenly man. I declare to you, brothers and sisters, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will be changed. In a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must clothe themselves with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will become true. Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain.
We're going to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together to be a support for one another during this time. You are the ultimate comforter. Fill the gaps, teach us, guide us to comfort and support one another. Let this be something new, something fresh in this hour, that we will continue over time, that we will do more for each other, that we would stretch out our hand, make that phone call, make that text, send that card out. Let it be a time of healing and bring us closer together. We thank God for the time that we spent on earth here with Kent. that we will look back over time, the memories and the moments that we spend with him, that we will always hold on to those memories. Let us remember Kent's heart, who he was, and share what he did. He shared laughter. Laughter is like medicine, in which God used him as an instrument daily. I thank God for each other. We thank God for each other, that we'll get through this together. And I speak peace over us in Jesus' name. Amen.
So this song, it's not probably your expected song to hear at a funeral, but there's not a better song I see fit. This is the song that my granddad always wanted me to sing to him, since I was like 8 or 9 when it came out. I'm just gonna sing a little bit. I didn't mean to end his life, I know it wasn't right. I can't even sleep at night, can't get it off my mind. I need to get out of sight, for I end up behind bars. What started out as a simple altercation turned into a real sticky situation. Me just thinking of the time that I'm facing makes me wanna cry. 'Cause I didn't mean to hurt him. Could have been somebody's son, and I took his heart when I pulled out that gun. Rum-pa-pa-bum, rum-pa-pa-bum, rum-pa-pa-bum. Man down, rum-pa-pa-bum, rum-pa-pa-bum, rum-pa-pa-bum. Man down, mama, mama, mama. I just shot a man down in Central Station in front of a big old crowd. Oh, mama, 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 I just shot a man down in Central Station.
Oh, my baby. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. My God.
We're going to take this time to ask you all if there's anyone who would like to share any reflections on my father, that you are welcome to do so. For sake of time, we ask that you keep it at about 2 minutes or so, but we appreciate hearing all about him. Thank you.
Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Kathy. I'm Kent's big brother, sister. And that was my baby. When we was growing up, we used to do so many fun things together. And my older brother, Keith, who's in the other room, we would spend summers at our father's house. And my brother Keith would tease me. And so Kent never joined in, but he always would laugh.
And so I would lock him and Keith outside the house until my father got home from work. Right before, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes before he came through the door, I would let him back in. But Kent used to say, well, why are you locking me out? I didn't do anything. And I said, because you laughed. And that was my ace boon coat. And he helped me to, just for him being on my side was like, meant so much to me. And then when he married Kim, they became one as they should. But that was my baby, and we were so close, and I'm gonna miss him so much, but I praise God that he is in no more pain. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much for taking my brother out of his pain. He suffered so much and so long and hard. And baby, just rest now and fly high and watch over all of us. We love you so much. You have been such a good brother. And to all his beautiful children and his wife, you guys have done a tremendous job taking care of Kent. I have never seen young people step up the way you four have. And I know he is so proud of you and what all you have done for him. And Kim, you have been the strongest woman I know. She went through nursing course over these years of Kent being sick. I mean, she has taken good care of him from every single day. She's right there for him, nursing him and taking good care of him. And my mom has been the best mom to us, and she raised us without our father in the home, but she did such a good job raising us. And I just thank everyone who showed up to support my brother, because he was a good man, and I love him. Thank you.
I just want to say to the Scott family, I love y'all very much. I've been with you guys for 38 years plus, more than I've been with my own family, and you guys have been the original family. And I really appreciate y'all and respect y'all and have much love for all of you, every one of you.
I'm just going to say a couple of words real quick.
And by the way, he still owes me that recipe for that green lawn.
He's locked in here somewhere.
Okay.
For those that don't know me, I'm Kathy and Sean's daughter. I'm Uncle Kent's first niece. And just the bond that I had with him, it was like a second dad. He supported me, he disciplined me, he loved me, he was there for me no matter what. And I'm just gonna miss him. To my cousins, who are more like my siblings, I got my brother, but y'all are my family too. Y'all are my siblings. I love y'all. If y'all need anything, I got y'all. And Kim, I love you.
Thank you, everybody.
Woo, this my husband right here. Reggie, my family. Wife, mother, back kid, and Chuck. Go back a lot. Years. We done lost a lot of loved ones. Ebony's kept her family to her family. And I love that for that. Because my mama made me love everybody. I love y'all. Stay strong. I'm on Facebook every day. Keep it up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Peggy Hurst. I'm Kim's mother.
against mother-in-law. When each one of the kids were born, I would do the kids' laundry. And Kent always told me, Mom, I don't know what you do to that laundry, but it makes our house smell good. And I appreciate him for that. And for a son-in-law, I just hated to see him sick. But I will say, they are one family that stuck together no matter what. And I will say this, they did have the best looking lawn on Damascus.
Good afternoon, everybody. I been knowing Kent all my life, seems like. When I was young, I fought everybody. That's what I got in trouble for, fighting. I had one friend in this world that I never had a fight with, and that's this guy right here. We never disagreed on anything but one thing: the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. He was a Cowboy fan, and I'm a 49er. We even like Ohio State together, but we just couldn't come together on the NFL. So I'm going to miss this guy here. I remember when they lived on Terrymore, he had a basketball court out back, and it would get a sheet of ice on it. And that's how we became such good ball players, because we'd go out on that sheet of ice and play one-on-one. And his dog would... the big Great Dane they had teamed up with him. If I'm getting the best of Kent, the dog start getting the best of me. So I just want to say, Miss Scott, if you need me, you know, just call my number. I'm there.
Do you know that all this started when Mom and Dad and the Scott family? You kids can be so proud of your heritage. But I just want to tell one story. I didn't know I snored. And when Kent was little, he used to come and sit at the foot of the bed. And I'd wake up and there he'd sit. And I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Mom, I just wanted to make sure you was all right." I said, "None of you will ever get more love in one man than that man. I am." Fanny is sitting out there, the stepmother, because she was a good mother. Their dad, I'm proud he was their father. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you the story about the snoring. So, he, Keith, Kathleen, and Sheila, and Keith, God bless me to have these 5 kids, and Fanny raised them. Okay. I love all of you. Thank you for being here. Well, I'm Fanny. And I thank God for you, Bernice, because you allowed me to be part of their lives. And Ken and I was listening when somebody said baby, Kathy. And he told me one day, he says, I'm not the baby. He said, I'm just the youngest. So he didn't want me to call him baby. And I appreciate everything that you've done with those kids and everything. And I appreciate you allowing me the part of their lives. Because I didn't have any kids, but you gave me 3. And I thank God for you. And that's my baby. I still call him my baby, but I always would say, okay, I'll honor that being the youngest, you know. And we did quite a bit of things together and everything like that. And now I'm here for him, and he would call me, even when he got sick and everything. And he would tell Bernie, he'd say, call Fanny. And we would pray and everything. And he said, I know I'm going to be okay. And I thank you, too, for being the wife to him that you were. Because y'all made me the women. With the raising them, you made me who I am today. And I thank God for each and every one of y'all, you know. And Kent and Keith and Kathy, I love y'all. And I thank God for you. So continually to do, and I thank you for all those kids too now. You know, for me even being grandmama and everything. Not even having any kids, you know. So I am blessed. And it's good to be here. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Those of you who know me know I hate public speaking more than anything. Ken Scott is probably the kindest man I have ever met. And definitely the finest next door neighbor I've ever had. And I just wanted to thank all of you here for including me in your family as much as you do. I love Ken. I'm going to miss him a lot. I think I've already started missing him.
Hello, everybody. I'm Deborah, and Mary Patrick is my mother. I'm her second oldest daughter. And I just wanted to come up here and say something to Aunt Bernice. You know, I love you more than life. I love you. And Kim. When I met Kim, she was always there when her and Kent. I remember when you see Kent, you would see Kim. And I was looking at the pictures that were up there, and I know right now, like, your head is going in a whole different directions all at the same time. But don't lose that smile. You know, cry if you have to, holler, whatever. But keep that smile, because he's not in any pain. And I do have a story to tell. It's about me and Kathy. Because I had came down one time in this old beat-up car, Dodge Charger. It was so raggedy, but I always was coming back and forth to Springfield, and you could see the ground coming from Gary, came here. And me and Kathy, we used to hang out all the time, and Kent would always be lurking, watching us, seeing what we was doing. But I could give him some candy, he'd leave us alone. And so we was talking to Aunt Bernice, and we thought we had permission for me to take Kathy with me back to Gary. And Kent was saying, don't get in that car, but we got in the car and we went. Aunt Bernice was so furious at me and Kathy, but we was already gone. So when we came back, all I remember was Kent say, beat him. Just beat him. Beat him. And Aunt Bernice was so mad, and I've never, ever heard Aunt Bernice curse, but she cursed at us. Hurt my feelings. But Aunt Bernice, you're the sweetest person besides that woman right there. The sweetest person that I know. And I just want you to know that I love you. I know how you feel. I know what you're going through. But the one thing that I was able to stand on, and I'm telling you because I heard in the beginning they read scriptures and they prayed, and it's to lean on God. In the wee hours of the night when nobody's around, you can always call on him. And he will be there. He'll be your comforter. He'll dry your tears. He'll give you peace in the midst of the storm. And he'll even answer your questions if you have some. But he knew how weary Kent was. He knew that he was tired, and he wanted him to come on home so that he can rest. And he's resting now in the arms of Jesus Christ. So lean on that right there and know that he's happy. And if he could come back, he wouldn't come back because he's at peace now, and he's with the Father. He's with the Father. So we all need to strive to get to that place so that we can make it in. I love you.
I wasn't sure if I was going to talk at first, but I can't not talk about my granddad. Lord knows, my granddad, that's the number one thing he wanted to be. And every day, he made sure that I knew that he loved me. He told me I was beautiful. He made sure I knew I was smart. I never had a doubt in my mind with my granddad. He's the funniest person I've ever known. All of my best memories and my happiest moments were with him. As the oldest grandchild, I have the most time with him. And I'm so glad that I get to share the stories with my little cousins. And I know his dog, Quincy is sad. And I was talking to Quincy yesterday because I remember Nana did not like Quincy out and about in the house because he shed. But me and Granddad, we would always play with Quincy. And we would start in the kitchen and run to the bedroom and throw the covers over us, and Quincy would jump on the bed and try to dig us out. And I just had so many fun times with him. I'm just going to miss him so much. Everybody says this, but nobody loves like Granddad loves. I've never known love like his. He's the best man I've ever known. I'm gonna miss him so much.
Give me a second.
Just give me a moment. You know, being my dad's only son, you know, it just, I don't know, it just gave us this unmatched bond, you know. I thought my dad was the funniest man in the world. It wasn't a joke he couldn't tell that I wasn't gonna laugh at. I just wanted to be around him, you know what he knew. You know, he hop on the grill. I'm trying to get on the grill with him. He cutting the grass. I want to know how he's doing it. You know, he gave me so much. You know, and growing up, I didn't realize, you know, all the tools he was giving me for life. You know, he always talked to me. You know, he never was short on love, and he was never short on his time. You know, he's always there for me. You know, I got the same name as him. You know, I feel like I'm in a dream. You know, Pop, man. You know, I just want to go back. I just want to go back to some of them times, you know, in the backyard, you know, on a morning like this morning, you know, before a football game, you know, he'd sit with me and talk, you know, tell me, vision myself, you know, see it for yourself and go get it, you know, and, man, Pop, you don't know how much you prepared me for life. I thank you so much. You know, my dad, you know, he liked to hide his emotions sometimes, you know, but one thing, you know, he never did with me was hide those from me. You know, my dad gave me every bit of himself. You know, and as a black man, you know, that just, I don't know, it just means so much. You know, and Pop, man, I'm gonna miss you more than you'll ever know. And it's just, you know, don't worry about Mom and the girls, because I'm gonna look after them. You know, you don't have to worry about that. I know Dad was always just so worried about all of us, wanted to make sure everybody was good. But Pop, you ain't got to worry about that. I got you. And they good, and we gonna be good, because that's how you made us. That's how you raised us. And like he always said, you know, I'd be sad about something or whatever, mad about something. He always tell me, pick your head up. You walk with your chin held high, and you be a man about it. You know, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue to do that for you, Pop. And you'll forever be right here in my heart, man. I love you. I love y'all.
I'm sorry, y'all. This just is a lot for me, because I lost my dad not long ago, and I didn't get the opportunity to, you know, do this. Your dad just was always there for me, always just talking to me. And just, you know, he asked about how I was doing after knowing my parents are here. So he always just asked, like, how you feeling, Chad? Like, because he could just see it. He could just see when I'm just, like, in my thoughts some days. He just knew. Like, I don't know how he just knew, but he always knew. And just his words of wisdom, like, I'm going to miss him so much. Him just joking with me and just his laugh, bringing Quincy, me and him having Quincy come back in the living room after Kim done said get out, and just we sneak him back in there, and I'm just gonna miss that man so much. He was just a great guy. Like, I don't know if y'all know, but like
he really just got me through a lot after my dad died. Like, just asking questions about my dad, just, wanting to know how he was. And I just never got the chance to do this, so I'm just going to do this for him because I love that man. I love you, Dad. I love all you guys. Just thank you so much for embracing me and just letting me be a part of your family because I learned so much from y'all. I don't think y'all understand. Like, I'm close to my family after my parents passed away because of y'all. Like, y'all helped me get through that. Y'all really truly did, all y'all. And I thank y'all so much. And I'm going to always be here for y'all, your son. Like, I'm going to always be here for you guys. Just know that, okay? Help y'all get through this. Because y'all are a strong family. I love you, baby.
Love you too.
I'm Sydney. I'm not going to cry because I'm the funny one. Just like my daddy. One of my favorite things about my dad is that when he would introduce himself, he'd say, Kent Scott, Scorpio. Dad, didn't nobody ask you what your sign was, but he would tell you. And my birthday is 6 days after my daddy's. And he would tell, I'm a Sagittarius. I missed the mark. And he would be like, that's not true. You're really a Scorpio just like me. And I'd be like, no, Dad, I'm a Sagittarius. He's like, those dates there's wiggle room. I was a Scorpio too. But one of my favorite things about my dad that I'll always remember, growing up, back in the days before we knew bonnets and scarves around our heads, I would wake up and my hair would be all over my head looking crazy. And he would make it shh, shh, shh. He wouldn't let nobody say nothing. And when I walk in, he would go like this with his hand and tell me that my hair looked crazy. I used to get so mad. I would race up to the bathroom. Don't y'all say nothing. The bathroom was my safe haven. It was his library. It was my safe haven. Being so mad. So years later, my dad, for some reason, was bald for a big chunk of my childhood, voluntarily. So later in life, he decided he was going to have hair again, and it was my chance to get revenge. So his hair would wake up looking crazy, and I would sneak in there and throw it up for him, and he couldn't do nothing but laugh, and I would say, payback, so you know what. My dad's fun. He's funny. He is loving. He is perfectly imperfect. He owned his stuff. He was not above apologizing. I don't think there's anything I learned more from him than as a parent it is okay to come back and apologize when you messed up. He got angry fast, but he would come back and be like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I should have heard you out a little bit, which is why I never had to cut grass. Because my dad wanted us to be raised in a house. He always said, I want you to be raised in a house. We lived in apartments when I was younger. He said, I'm going to get you guys a house. And he did. Him and my mom got us a house. We had just moved there, and he was like, all right, y'all going to learn how to mow grass. I was in 6th grade. And he set it up for Aaron. First of all, I don't think my mom knew how to cut grass, so he taught her first. Then he set it up for Aaron. For some reason, it was my turn. He let my mom set it up. And I'm like, Dad, this lawnmower is too heavy. He's like, girl, it's self-propelling. It's not heavy. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but this is heavy. And I'm pushing, breaking out. I'm like, Dad, this is heavy. He went, yelled at me, told me I was lazy. About 5 minutes later, he comes back. He said, your mama didn't flip the self-propelling switch. And I promise you'll never cut grass again. So when I married this man right here, I said, I want you to know I don't cut grass. And if you're not okay with that, take it up with my dad. He was everything and then some. I love you, Paul. He will always be with us. And I just really thank you all for being here with us today.
It's my little brother, my very best friend. You know, sometimes I think about this since he passed on Tuesday. You know, how do I do this? What is this supposed to be like for me as his brother, his oldest brother, his only brother? His oldest brother. You know, as the oldest child of the family, there's a bit of guilt seeing your younger sibling leave before you. But I fully and wholly subscribe to the will of my Lord. And I know that it's God's will for everything that has happened regarding Kent. You know, we prayed, it was only a few months ago, we prayed for quite a while with Kent. And we asked God, as you would do in this situation, we asked God to take Kent, his health issues, and to heal those issues, to restore him back to the health that he previously knew. And we knew, of course, in praying that God was fully capable of producing that result. But as we prayed with Kent, we also said that, Lord, please do your will. Because above all else, regardless of what the actual outcome will be, we know that it's you who determined what that outcome was. It is on us to trust you, Lord, in fulfilling what your will is for my brother, for all of his family and all of his friends. And in trusting him, we gain the peace and the comfort of trusting him. We don't have to like everything that the Lord decides to do. He doesn't ask us to like everything that he decides to do. But trust him. Understand that he is, again, completely and fully in control. And there is our comfort. Not just for Kent, but for all of us. Sydney, you're right. Your dad, Kent, you're right. Your dad was a funny man. We had our moments. Kathy, you were right. I was usually the instigator. And Kent, as the youngest at the time, he loved every minute of it. So he wasn't just on your side. He wasn't just feeling badly for you. He was also feeling a lot of joy and at your expense. And we just had a lot of fun, you know, always. But we had our moments. I was telling Kent that one of my favorite memories of his father is when he did something to piss me off. And I slapped him in the face with a bologna sandwich. and it was heaven. It was a wonderful feeling. It looked even better than I enjoyed it. It even looked that much better with mayo and bologna all over his face and bread and everything. But he got me back when my paternal grandmother passed away, and my family is here from Cleveland. When my paternal grandmother passed away some years back, and we were all in Cleveland for her funeral. And after the services were over and we were all preparing to return to our homes, I lived in New York at the time, actually in New Jersey at the time. And Kent and all the rest of our family had traveled up to Cleveland for the services from Springfield. And so it was time for us to say goodbye to each other so I could fly back to New York. and as is the custom, as always everyone else does, hugs their family goodbye. And I hugged everyone, and then I walked up to Kent to hug him, and he grabbed my face and kissed me right in my mouth. You know, that was not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. I don't know everyone in the room here, but I know my brother, and I bet that a good percentage of you knew him well enough to be able to say this same thing about him. If you were going through something, Kent felt what you were going through. If you were going through, if you were having if your kids were involved in sports, Kent and Kim always wanted to know, how's your son doing? How's so-and-so doing? How are they doing? They would enjoy their games. If their children were on an opposite team from little Kent, they knew you. They were just as happy for your kids and how well how much achievements they made in their sports. Kent always had a genuine interest in how well you were doing. I mean, we can all attest to the fact that we have other friends who, they will congratulate you on different things, but they're not necessarily feeling that for you. I'm guilty of that sin myself, of being happy for someone verbally, but being a little bit jealous because it's not me who's enjoying that particular thing. And many of us can say that same thing. Kent was always genuinely happy for you if you had something going on good in your life. He's always been like that. He's always had the biggest heart. And he infected his family with that. Unfortunately, he also infected them with being Cowboys fans. They didn't get it honestly. He forced it on them. He just forced it, So, but some things, he can't. You weren't the best at that. You should be a Browns fan, and that's just the way it is. We're from Cleveland. He was born in Cleveland. He should be a Browns fan. That's it. I love you, Kent.
Honestly, I don't even know what to say. And I have all these memories, and I don't know what to say. Me and my dad, we was the ones, we went at it all the time. And like I said, he always come back and apologize. He always made sure that I know that he loves me, and whatever it was, he loved me and he forgive me or whatever. We gonna argue, we gonna whatever, but he's always there. And I don't really, y'all might say I talk a lot, I don't know, but I don't talk too much. And I just listen to my dad. He was the one to talk, sit there and tell all his stories. And I just sit there and just listen to him. And especially the last year, it's been really hard because I don't know what to say. I'm used to listening. And so my dad, he would look over at me in his chair, and I knew he had so much on his mind, and he couldn't say it, and I didn't know what to say back. But I know he's been there for me. He's there for me through all of this. He knows how much I love him. I pray that he knows how much I love him. And that's it.
Number one.
I'm good.
How do you eulogize your own parent, you know? I'm good, Mom. I'm good. When my sister Sydney first asked me if I wanted to do this, I said, yeah, I couldn't. And I said, well, let me ask Dad's good friend. He's a man of God. Dad always had good things to say about him and their friendship. Let's ask him. But God didn't want that. God wanted me to do this because it doesn't matter why. God wanted me to do this. And my best friend, Janine, girl, I love you. She showed up. I told her not to come. The other day, she came. She talked to me. She said what needed to be said, and she told me I had this. And that was my dad talking to me through my best friend, through my sister. And I thank God for that. So I'm just going to ask y'all to be patient with me. I've never done something like this before. I'm not a preacher. I'm just going to do what I think my dad wanted me to do. Hold on. Thank you. Proverbs 4:1-2. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. I'd also like to read to you 1 Peter 5:1-2, 4 and 6. To the elders among you, I appeal as a fellow elder and a witness of Christ's sufferings. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, watching over them not because you must, but because you are willing. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. That message of time is very important. So I just want to go ahead and read now the words that I've prepared about the story of my dad. My name is Aaron. My dad gave me that name. My mom wanted to name me Kamika. My dad said, no, we ain't doing that. And he gave me a good name. Thank you, Dad. Sydney, Courtney, and Kent, you are my best friends. And my dad always told me they would be. Even when I didn't know it, he always told me that. So I'm going to do my best to honor my dad and convey just how happy he made us. For as long as I can remember, I always knew I hit the daddy jackpot. He was my everything, and I was his too. We were day one besties, and he was so fun, as you've heard many times today. looking back, the fun part seems really obvious. Fun is at the top of the list for any 18-year-old young man. There's a lot of assumptions and predictions about becoming a parent and a husband so young, but our daddy was ready for the task, even if he'd have to figure it out along the way. He never missed a day for the next 38 years, not one. Yet I still feel cheated out of time. I bet we all feel that way today. But what I've learned from my dad's physical absence the last few days is it's not how much time you have, but how you choose to do life with the time that you do have. So now we're going to have story time. My dad told a lot of stories, some true, some not so true. It was on you if you fell for the untrue ones. But all the stories I'm going to tell today are true stories. So, I have a really weird memory. I can remember things from a really young age, like before I was even 2 years old. And I vividly remember, I apologize in advance, Mother. I vividly remember my dad and I laying on the floor, heads side by side, and we would pretend to drink beer, smoke cigarettes, and cuss. So, Dad would go and then I would go. He'd be like, your turn. And I go, 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 go. Oh, shit. And we would go back and forth, just trading curse words. And my mom in the background, kid, stop doing it. She's going to go out there, she's going to be cussing, she's going to be doing this. Stop doing that. My mom would be so mad. And Dad said, she going to be all right. She ain't going to do that. And I never did. I wasn't a cusser. I didn't run out the house and act bad or do anything. I was told repeatedly I was a really good child. I was an easy child. And our dad's willingness to let us break rules was what made him so fun, you know? I didn't learn how to break rules per se, but just really how to have fun, even if it was only fun to us. And while the inappropriate fun was plentiful, there was an abundance of wholesome fun too. Any of our friends can give a story of fun and laughs around our dad. We also learned a lot from him. Right up top was that my siblings were my best friends, and in life, it's family over everything. For those who don't know, my dad was the youngest of three, which has been explained several times today, but we'll go with what I wrote. Under Uncle Keith and Aunt Kathy. And later in his teenage years, our Grammy remarried and gave Dad the job of big brother to Keith, Edward, and Sheila. He was the middle child, and he loved being their brother. He never spoke of them from a place of rivalry, as siblings often do. Instead, we heard many, many, many stories about the first three and their summers with Grandpa and Grandma Fanny, growing up in Springfield with Grammy and his Walker family. With Graham being one of 15, you know the cousins were deep. So many stories about Chop, Tim Lewis, and yes, I said Tim Lewis because that's what my dad always said. It was never just Tim or Timmy. It was always Tim Lewis. Alvin, Kelvin, Jeff, Johnny, Tammy, many, many, many more. So many cousins. His friends were his extended family. Clevie White, Mike Johnson, John King, Eric G., Von Hubbard, Mike Pullen, Craig Clark, and many, many more. My dad was an open book. He lived life so fully. He told stories so well that I grew up wishing I was there. What a time to be alive type stories. But we were there to see Dad be a big brother. I saw the way Dad included Keith and Sheila in everything. They are our aunts and uncle, but more like additional cousins due to the closeness in age. Candace, Brock, Brandon, Tyler, Brianna grew up with the love my dad had for being and having fun. Always a game or contest or trivia, quiz time. the random bets. I'll give you $5 right now if you could tell me who sings this song. He always got me on Double or Nothing, because I would know who sang the song. I knew that stuff. And then he would get me on a hard one, and I always lost the money. So there's that. Our cousin Ashley was basically the fifth Scott child for years. Dad loved and cared for and accepted and protected us all. He tried his best to give us the same fun he grew up with and the same closeness and connection to family. He's everyone's favorite uncle. I got other cousins that didn't grow up with us quite as closely, but they can all say that my dad, they were drawn to him. Dad was the child whisperer. Every kid loved him. And then one day my dad got sick. I remember several times leaving Schaefer Middle School to walk over to Community Hospital because Dad had been there and Mom and the other kids were there with him. I was young. I didn't know much about what he was going through, but I knew he couldn't work that hard labor job anymore. I knew his health issues took his energy, and sometimes I was scared of losing him all the way back then. But Dad never left our sides. Things were difficult, but in many ways better because he was able to be there for everything now. He told us and our mom how beautiful and loved we were every single day. He guided my brother to becoming a man. After our games, he talked to us about what to work on, how to improve, but most importantly, what went well, where our progress was showing in life and in sports and in anything that we did. He told us he was proud. Love, protection, guidance, integrity with your word, all things I got from my dad. I love you flowed freely every single day. If Dad had something to say, he said it. He never missed an opportunity to correct us if we needed it. And when he fell short on something, he addressed that too. It was not a foreign concept in our home for adults to apologize to children, to be accountable when they were wrong, because adults mess up too. And sometimes they mess up big. But you must do your best to go and make that mess clean again. Dad was sometimes hot-tempered, and sometimes he spoke too soon. The 2-week silent treatment taught me more than his words, though. So it's story time. My dad always told me, y'all can't have no babies in this house. You have a baby, you got to go. You got to get up out of here. We raise our kids, you're going to raise yours. You can't stay up in here. So, when I was 18, I was pregnant. I had just graduated high school. I had went to Wittenberg. I was still living at home, though. And one day, Travis and I had to tell my mom and dad we were having a baby. Mom and Dad were getting ready to go to a Friday night football game. They were both in the bathroom getting ready. Dad hears the news. He pushes Mom out of the bathroom, closes the door, and he didn't talk to me for a week. Living in the same house, he'd see me, he'd walk the other direction. He wouldn't look at me, he wouldn't talk to me. And when he did say something to me, he said, "E, I want you to know I love you. I don't know what to say yet, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. So when I'm ready to talk, you'll hear from me." And another week went by. And I just said, well, why won't he just cuss at me, yell at me, something? This is hard. Like, you just gonna act like I'm not here. But when he said what he had to say to me, it was the right thing. For the first time, my dad made sure he didn't say the wrong thing. He took his time. And I thank God for him for that every day. because the biggest time of my life, my dad chose to lead as a grandfather. Once Dad started to accept and embrace this next chapter, just like being dad, he jumped into being granddad with his whole heart. If you would think that he was slowing down now, you'd be wrong. Dad told me when he was a kid and he'd dream about the future, he dreamed of being a grandfather. That's weird. Like, who does that? You're sitting as a kid thinking about life in the future and you thinking about being a granddad? Like, that's just weird. But that's what my dad did. So when he became a granddad, from the very first time he held Deja, Deej, as he called her, she could do no wrong. A night owl, just like my dad, he'd often take her to play in the middle of the night while I slept because she wouldn't fall asleep. She wanted to be up, but I had to work in the morning. So he'd come and get her so I could have rest. When I got my own apartment, we were still there nearly every day because Granddad and Nana were top of the list for her too. After moving to Columbus, Deja spent every break with Granddad and Nana. They were at soccer, softball, that one experiment with basketball. Plays, awards, graduations, whatever, whenever, wherever. When Deja needed anything, she only had to say the word and Dad was there. I received some phone calls over the years getting so-called checked because Deja called to tell on me for one thing or another. E, are you up there being mean to Deej? I'm like, Dad, I'm the mom. Let me do this. And then came his precious Jaybird. Out of all the kids, Jay might have gotten his prankster ability the most. She harasses Nana just like he did. But Dad and Mom made sure to be there for grandparent days, visits to Xenia to see her and include her younger brother, Jordan. They made sure she made it to North Carolina so my brother could be with his baby while in the Army. However they could be there for Jay, they always came through. Palmer T, his third grandbaby girl. This pic right here, he's holding that little tiny baby girl in his arms, and he was so proud and happy to do this granddad thing again. And then one day, just a little while later, he got really sick. All those years of illness had begun to take a real toll on his body. Dad kept fighting, but his body continued to fail him. Within the next 2 years, Dad could barely walk. And so now we have another story time. Sydney was pregnant with her second child. We didn't know what she was having. They wanted it to be a surprise. And of course, when a woman has a baby, her mother has to be there. So Mom and Dad were running late, getting up here. They were supposed to get a hotel. My dad was going to wait at the hotel because he couldn't really get around too well. But they were running behind. So Mom said, you're going to have to wait in the car. I got to get up there. Well, I guess things were taking too long for him. He's an impatient man. And my dad walked all the way into that hospital from that parking lot. It wasn't a short walk. And he did it by himself. And the nurse came and told my sister and my mom that a man was outside for them. What man? What man? And it was Dad. Dad gave his last and final push to see his newest granddaughter and only grandson grow up. He gave us just shy of 4 more years together. Dad tried to be at everything possible for you, Palmer and Prezi. He loved you both so much. You may not have any memories of Granddad walking, but you'll always know the story of him walking what had to feel like miles to be there for you. But none of what I've told you compares to what he do and did for the woman who gave us to him. My parents' story is so rare. They were instant soulmates from the day Cousin Eva introduced them. They've been inseparable. Let Dad tell it. Mom is the most perfectly beautiful woman in the world ever. The end-all, be-all. When I was growing up, they grossed me out. All of us. Way too much PDA for our liking. But their love for each other never cared who was looking. I remember Mom never letting us sleep in their bed because Dad made her sleep in the middle. There was no way even them kids got to snuggle his lady over him. Dad was the original, if forget them kids was a person, when it came to my mom. Don't get smart with her. Don't make her have to keep talking to you. All of that. He did not play. He was not for the games. They took Sunday drives, trips to the mountain, to the beach, Chicago, to admire the beauty of God's work. But it didn't have to be a special reason. Dad enjoyed sitting outside and having conversations with Mom. Whatever they did it as a unit. They had each other in everything, even the hard times, especially the hard times. There was not a hospital stay or medical concern that my mother didn't address. When he was in extended care, she slept in a chair beside him 9.5 times out of 10 because they did not provide the care that she knew he needed without a watchful eye. Even when dealing with everything else life brings, my mom gave my dad excellent care every single day without complaint. But it was wearing her down. My siblings and I were blessed to be able to step in and help our parents in every way we could because that's what family does. We've never known it any other way. We give our struggles to God and we figure it out as we go. We have faith and acceptance in God's will. Mom, look at me. Look at me. Thank you. Thank you. We never had to worry about Dad. And he don't have to worry about you, ever. We got you, okay? In everything. We thank you for choosing this man to be our father. And Dad, we thank you for choosing this woman as our mother. A true king and queen. And your very own piece of happiness in the world. Your family, your legacy. Thank you for your unconditional love and support, Dad. Thank you for teaching us to pray. To give thanks for things, both big and small. Dad was not a big church person. He never spoke against it, but he didn't dress up and he was a homebody. So I don't know if that's the reason he didn't go, but I assume so because he loved that we did go to church. He loved that we had a relationship with God. But Dad loved God too. He loved reading the Word, listening to sermons, and true time with God to understand the Word. The story of Jesus and God's justice and victory are the reason we have acceptance of things we don't understand. We will never know why we had to say goodbye to your physical presence so soon. We will never understand why these illnesses had to be part of your story. But we know there's redemption from sin. We know that. So while we cry for ourselves, we thank you, Heavenly Father, for our dad's final victory. Thank you. We praise you for your mercy and your grace. John 11:25 and 26 says, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. My dad may have only made it to 56, but in those years, he guided the flock God trusted him with. Not because he had to, because it brought him joy to see us be everything he taught us to be, because he was willing. To our precious Grammy, saying goodbye to your son's physical presence is unnatural. It seems unimaginable in my mind. But please remember, Dad taught us how to love and care for you. You will feel his presence from every one of us. We love you and we got you. We are who we are because you birthed the greatest man I know. Mom, I love you. We will never let you fall. Thank you for loving our dad and giving us the gift of peace. Your care of our dad allowed us to keep our heads held high, as he always told us to do. To everyone here, those watching online, those who prayed, cooked, gave money, bought flowers, sent your condolences, brought food, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. In closing, I'd like to share a few things that we're all going to miss the most about our dad. Little things. I'm going to miss the way my dad held up the number 3. I ain't never seen him do this. I don't even think he's physically capable of doing this. It's always this. Every single time. I don't know. I just thought that was special. I'm going to miss Fat Man Slams. Y'all don't know what that is, but ask one of us later on. We'll tell you. Deja's going to miss him watching her chew. Dad watched us eat. Weird, but he loved to watch us eat just to see how we chew. Sydney's going to miss him forcing us to lace up when we held hands. We could not hold our dad's hand like this. He always wanted to lace up. Courtney's going to miss him telling her to keep her head on a swivel. Bub's going to miss how I used to say, well, hell. Jimmy's going to miss him telling him, you a Cowboys fan now since you married my daughter. Mom's going to miss him calling her Danny girl. Bubba's also going to miss him making his rounds, calling every one of us just to hear our voice and ask us what we were eating that day. Sid's going to miss quiz time. Jazz is going to miss the talks. Him yelling blue to Quincy and letting him sneak in the living room. Bub going to miss his advice and how he always knew just what to say. And I think that we all are going to miss that one. And I'm just going to miss his smile. I'm going to miss our talks. I'm going to miss him being the one who really knew me. I love you, Dad. I thank you for everything. And I will never forget to tell you good night and I love you before I go to bed every day for the rest of my life. Praise God. Thank y'all for being here. And I appreciate everything.
I'm gonna read my father's obituary now. Kent Patrick Scott I, lovingly known as Flintstone, age 56, made his transition from his earthly home to his heavenly home on September 14th, 2021, in his home surrounded by his family following an extended illness. He was born November 18th, 1964 in Cleveland, Ohio, to Richard Scott and Bernice Walker Scott. He moved to Springfield, Ohio in 1969, where he spent his childhood growing up alongside his Walker family. Kent loved the Lord and gave his life to Christ at St. John Missionary Baptist Church. In 1983, he married the love of his life, Kimberly Daniel Scott. Together, they created a beautiful family. They enjoyed doing everything together, especially taking long car rides, spending time in nature, watching sports, and raising their family. Their love was the epitome of in his sickness and in health, and transcends space and time. Kent was an avid Dallas Cowboys fan, and the only time you saw him outside of his Cowboys gear was if he was in his Ohio State gear. Kent was always the clown of the party and guaranteed to make everyone laugh. He was also a lover of all music and could be heard listening to anything from Tupac to Elton John, but his favorite was his granddaughter Deja. He had a love for books and reading, especially Stephen King, and dominated in Jeopardy. He enjoyed watching his kids play sports throughout their childhoods. Kent took a great pride in his lawn and put on basketball tournaments in the backyard for the kids, even if he never paid the debts. Kent leaves to cherish his memory, his loving wife of 38 years, Kim Scott, children, Aaron Scott, Sydney Jamal McAlpine, Courtney Scott, and Kent Jasmine Scott II. Mother, Bernice. Siblings, Keith and Alicia Scott, Kathy, Sean Channels, Keith Edward K. Haynes, and Christy Haynes. Grandchildren, Deja Anye Demiku, Jalen Scott, and Palmer and Prescott McAlpine. Mother-in-law, Peggy Don Hurst II. Bonus mom, Fanny Scott, a host of family and friends, and his dog, Quincy. He was preceded in death by his father, Richard Scott, paternal grandparents, Richard and Phyllis Scott, and maternal grandparents, Alonzo and Doreen Walker. Kent's legacy will be carried on through his children. Aaron, with his wisdom, Sydney, with his sense of humor, Courtney, with his heart for children, and Kent II, with his protective nature.